Right, this is actually take two, but welcome back with Villaincast. I've already messed it up once. Um, it's Reap the Week with El Jefe and the Villain. El Jeff. Uh, that still makes me giggle every week.
Can you imagine me walking in a competition as well? That's Jeff. I'm like, who the fuck is Jeff?
It'd be brilliant if you had it like on the back of a gi or something, just El Jeff. People just mispronouncing it like over the tannoy or something. Right, beforehand, quick shout out to the sponsors. Maybe I should like leave a gap here. So anytime like we may get one, maybe I can go back and edit it in because I've left a gap for them. And so like as much as that's a joke, like there's a place for you here if you're listening. I say that like I think I do have a sponsor. I just don't think he knows about this. So maybe I should mention it, and maybe then he gets a shout out every week. But until then, until I get a better offer, like he isn't getting mentioned. I think it's been a sponsor for years now. Maybe I should use that. Anyway, babbling. This is episode 13, luckiest episode. Thank you to everyone in the Discord channel. Everyone just like that's such a great community now. It's like people kind of getting to know each other and know each other's like personalities and strengths, and it's really interesting to see. So thank you. I love watching that conversation, and I love having my phone ping at me every like 3 minutes all day every day. Like I I joke. I really do like it. Usually, I take questions off for Read the Week from the Discord channel throughout the week or just prior to recording. This week's slightly different. I've chosen to go down just this week alone. Next week, normal service will resume. But this week, going down a slightly different route of a topic I want to approach, a topic which is probably quite large and may take Naqi and I most of the episode to work through. And it's on retention and retention mindset. I'm sure we're going to shoot ideas backwards and forwards. It's going to be quite interesting. But first off, hey, Nak.
Hey, Chris, you good, mate?
Yeah, man. How's it going?
Oh, good, mate. Oh, good.
How's your week of being stuck in this depressing void been?
Yeah, I'm getting along, mate. Just counting the days now.
I know. Well, I made a mistake in that I've been doing a countdown on our gym's Instagram page, much to the dismay of some people, due to pretty much spamming their timelines. So pretty much every day I've been putting up a countdown photo, just like reminding of all the good times we have shared and all the photos that have been taken, of groups or people rolling or just having, a great time. We had this April 12th seemed to be the date of gyms reopening, and we're like, cool, we're gonna be back. I've been pushing on this date, but now I've had the news that it may not actually be April 12th. We may be looking at the May date. To which I'm gonna have to revise all those countdown photos. They're going to go on for a lot longer. I think I was down to about 14 days left. Now we're going to be up to like 50, which I don't think I have that many photos left. I've already posted like 25. So yeah, it sucks, Knack. Like we're still stuck in this shapeless void doing these videos. I can't wait till we can just go back in the gym and record like
Yeah.
actual technique videos. Do you think there's one for you? Obviously we can do these Reap the Week episodes, but we could do them in the gym.
Yeah.
Like people ask us questions and we just like, actually no, that doesn't make sense, because I know we're like looking each other face to face right now on Zoom. It wouldn't make sense for us to like demonstrate techniques in like a gym setting, considering that majority of people listen to this as a podcast.
Yeah.
maybe though, maybe that can be a extra thing that we do. That's some sort of podcast of techniques on a video, and we do maybe we describe things. I don't know. I'm sure there's something we can do there. I've got time
Yeah.
to think about it at least. Um, yeah, it sucks. We've got longer to wait. Are you managing to keep fit? Are you managing to keep at least something moving with your
Yeah, I'm
body?
walking every day.
Dude, literally, that's all I'm doing. Like, as long as I get my steps in, I'm happy. Um, other than that, it's despair.
Yeah.
Anyway, speaking of retention, kind of weird segue. Um, we obviously our retention isn't bad,
No.
considering that we're still here despite the fact we cannot train, and we still want to train. And the
Yeah.
second we are allowed to train, we will be back training.
Yeah.
Um, so the question is then, and this is a curious one. This is what obviously Preet kind of changed the conversation on, is that how do you improve white belt retention? Not just white belt, but also blue and purple belt. Like those first formative years retention. Um, where do we start with this? Okay, we'll start with white belts. So, what do you think are key ideas of keeping a white belt?
I think one of the biggest reasons why people leave at white belt is because they can't find the answer. Even the answers that they do find are either from YouTube, where it's techniques, but dry drilling, like stuff that you can't pull off in actual sparring. And a point linking onto that is they keep getting beat up, and again they can't find the answer, and they don't know why. Um, I think that's one of the biggest reasons why white belts leave, because they see this puzzle and they see no a light at the end of the tunnel of fixing this puzzle and
Mm,
understanding it. I think linking that into how we do things nowadays, I think our retention, since we've adopted the system, has been very good. I can't remember many people leaving, and even if they do leave, it's temporary. They're back, but they have an answer. They know it's about patience, and they know what they're doing wrong, because we always bring up that point where we say, rewind 30 seconds and think about what actually happened. Where were they? Where were you? And it's always usually, it's usually the same answer.
I think there's like, if I'm doing this for years, I think there's like different layers of um, things you have to do at certain points in time to keep them involved. And you're completely correct. Like giving context, correct context early, I think that matters a lot because then people don't get lost. And I think that that's going to help for the people who are like already uh, have got in their heads they're going to be here for a few months. They've got that kind of interest. Um, one of the mistakes I made, when I first was teaching, is I came into a gym which was like kill or be killed. Uh, if you get hurt,
Pure savagery.
this wasn't for you, kind of
Yeah.
thing. Numbers were low and turnover was high. Um, People will come in, get bullied, and they just leave.
Yeah.
And especially when you haven't got a high uh, influx of people, when you're basically going to be at the bottom of the food chain for a prolonged period, and
Yeah.
you don't see growth, like that crushes people. So usually within 4 months of jiu-jitsu, you have something. But when you just find the same people for those 4 6 months and no one new has started, then it is soul crushing.
Yeah.
Uh, so I think, yeah, automatically getting out of that kill or be killed mindset, that has to change. But one thing that I was quite curious about is, especially when you have low numbers, and this is again one thing I strive to do, was it was mentioned on the Johnny Buck one, which I know you've listened to and enjoyed. No, listen to this, like definitely go back and listen to that one. It's a hella amount of fun, that episode. Was this idea of the tribe, and like other gyms, big gyms with good branding, have that down, like, the red shield kind of thing. Um, but that kind of feeling of belonging, like as much as it's a great sport, like the majority of people don't hang around in jiu-jitsu for jiu-jitsu, as Johnny kind of like
Yeah,
put it, as in it's a club, and if it has that club vibe, people are more likely to stay. And so one thing I always kind of like started to really make sure of was just started, I remember your name. Like no matter how many people we have in, I will make a concerted effort to remember your name and call you by your name when you come in. Not just like
100%. It's personal. Like when I was a teacher, when we did training, and it was one of the big things that I took from teaching was when you make it personal to a kid, when you know a child's name, it's personal to them. They believe there's a relationship there, and you can, uh, they will respond to you better.
yeah.
And adults are the same. As much as we adults say, yeah, with this, and we're stronger, and this, that, the other. Adults are the same. They
You
still
want to feel
need that feeling of belonging.
Yeah, you want to feel valued. You want to feel that,
Yeah.
that someone actually cares about you. And first step that, yeah, is completely remembering their name. So even ignoring the technical aspects of jiu-jitsu, like the first things I always make sure of is A, I remember your name, and B, and I got this from Christian when it comes to the camps, as in he wanted to create an experience. And I try and make sure that every night on the mats is an experience, like even from like the music that's chosen. I want people to go out and like think there was like they're unsure if they were at a jiu-jitsu club or a party. Like you remember those days, don't you?
Oh yeah.
Like,
Where do you
like
think angry ballerina comes from?
exactly. That's why the music I used to choose wasn't my usual stuff that I'd listen to. It'd be like, let's go straight in with some like really like cool 80s kind of like get some Duran on. Let's really go for this. And everyone was like, it was a party, and like everyone was smiling, and then I'm definitely go into this on a future episode, but the photos and everything like that, and that's why it always looked like, you know, something that people could show off and be happy that there's club environment.
Yeah.
So yeah, first step was always that. Second step was, once you made them feel welcome, is again, like you say, context. And it's amazing how many people we've had in of like from different clubs at that kind of 2-3 stripe white belt kind of level from other clubs. So they have no idea still what they're looking for.
Yeah.
And that, yeah, I think context, like again, understanding control, defense, and the reason why you're doing everything. Because there's nothing worse than jiu-jitsu is that because it's unless there's a bespoke working beginner course, you literally just drop on. Like, as Gil, you've been around long enough that I didn't have this mindset when you started. But I imagine your first night with me was something completely random.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You're a beginner.
I can't remember it, but I remember the spar with you, but I can't remember what the class was on.
It's
But yeah.
Dumb. Like, I think my first class was baseball bat chokes. And like I remember having my throat crushed quite aggressively. And I think but that's a problem, as in you land in whatever that night's class was, and you have no context for what actually you should be learning. Like what, right? Where does this fit into the whole thing? And that's where I think we could take something like definitely from traditional martial arts, is they have a foundation like this. You need to know this to be able to understand what's going on at the next belt. Like, we're trying to avoid that in jiu-jitsu, but they have it right in that part. I don't agree with like making sure that people can't progress if they can't do certain techniques, because not everyone suits every technique.
100%.
There has to be a context and a base level when you come in. Like, there's not that confusion with judo, like or like karate or boxing or anything. You taught bang bang bang. This is the basics of your first bout or whatever. And then we progress. Jiu-jitsu is weird. You land a random point and figure it out.
Yeah, and only the ones who want to, who just want to fight, they're the ones who will keep coming, and then, you'll get you'll get the super techie ones who will be like, they want to figure everything out, the ones who wear the glasses. And then there's figuring out, I mean, you'll get the scientists and you get the savages. You won't have just your average person who, wants to learn self-defense. Because they've been beat up so bad and they've got other things going on in life, their work and family and everything. They don't want to come and get beat up every night.
You say that, but the majority of the people, just talking to the various people around the gym, majority of them are people who have been bullied, who were bullied at school.
Oh yeah, I think that massively goes into it when they start.
Not savages, not savages as in people who like rolling hard, but as in thuggish people don't usually stick.
No, they're the ones. Their egos get broken straight away.
Yeah, exactly. It kind of breaks them, which is
it breaks them because it's in their head. It's like, how is this possible? Like this is not possible. It shouldn't be happening.
Yeah, and it's complete upheaval of everything they've had prior to that day.
Exactly, and then they've got a choice to make. They've either got to be like, I want to learn this, or run away and be like, yeah, I tried it, and it's not for me.
Yeah, exactly. I think it takes a definite certain mindset to want to do this. But yeah, I think because of how jiu-jitsu usually is shaped and people drop in at random points and you start your jiu-jitsu journey at like a random part, which is, when you look at it that way, it's so stupid. And the fact that we haven't even put the time in, like as a collective, to do it better is daft.
Yeah.
So yeah, context, like having a beginning. But the thing is, like, you say to someone, "Oh, what did you teach at the beginning?" They say, "Oh, close guard," but that still has no context.
Yeah, like why? Why are you telling me to learn close guard? Like why?
Yeah, why is this the beginning? Why was this established as the beginning technique? It still has no context. And then all you have is people just like mindlessly hunting for close guard, like some sort of like weird lobster with their legs on the floor, just like snapping towards people. It seems so dumb, but the majority of us know it that way because that's the way we all came through.
Yeah,
it can be better, and I think we have been doing it better, as much as we can. So yeah, beginner retention, having context for what they're actually learning, I think is a big one. So we've gone through the first couple of months. We've remembered your name. We've made you feel like you're part of a family. We've created a positive experience that you go home every night thinking, what the hell was I just at? And we've given you context for what we're actually learning. What's next? As in, so you have those people. Now we're 8-9 months into jiu-jitsu, and those people that leave at that point, why do you think they go?
I don't know, man. I think it's just they just don't want to do it, man. Or I think a lot of people, a few people that I've spoken to, have said family gets in the way, or other commitments get in the way, and they just can't make the time to commit. But we're still to see this through the new system because we haven't had that yet with what we've been doing. Anybody who's stuck around has stuck around. Prior to that, everybody has their own reasons, but I think that the savagery one is one of the main ones where like they don't want to get beat up, man. Like which human being wants to get beat up every night and not have an answer of how to deal with it eventually?
True.
So
yeah, I think you've definitely got a weird mindset to want to get hurt and like, enjoy it. Like that's some like deep Freudian stuff there. Like let's not delve into that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
We'll pull out some really like demented looking rabbits out of that one. Kinky looking rabbits as well. Wearing the weirdest lingerie. I think you're right. Yeah, it's the blue belt kind of curse. It's life changes. Like people's lives, as much as we try and deny it, like our lives do change quite aggressively every year. Like it's amazing how much of a different place you can end up in.
Yeah.
And jobs change, families change. I think again, like you think of the usual age that people kind of start jiu-jitsu of between their 20s and 30s. that is the biggest age where things are in flux. Like, I
Yeah.
wouldn't. You're not an adult until you're in your late 20s. Like, you become like legally an adult at 18 or whatever it is in your jurisdiction, but that's just the age you can start being one in society. You have no experience of it yet,
Yeah.
and it's only for those next 10 years you actually gain experience of acting like an adult that you can then eventually class yourself as one in your late 20s. Even later, who knows? You need those kind of experiences, and because of it being that flux kind of 10 years, I think, yeah, when you have people in that bracket who start and um, their life goes through this kind of incredible flux in those 10 years, people get married, people have kids, people go through from jobs into careers, or from education into the workplace or whatever. I think that's a big change, and it is usually the age, and I think that's usually the time frame that everything changes, that year, 18 months. And I think that's one predominant reasons that blue belts will leave.
Yeah, I guess so.
And I think you're probably more likely to keep a blue belt in their 30s. Someone whose life is stable, who doesn't go into flux every 6 months.
Yeah, possibly. It's one of them things, isn't it? I think it's
So I
very
think that,
personal as well. It's personal goals. If people can see,
yeah,
what it all depends on what they want, doesn't it? It's everybody's own. But I think again, there's got to be incentives to stay. There can be
yeah,
stages where, I mean, I've texted you a few times when I was like a blue belt, and I'm like, Chris, fucking, I can't do this anymore. Like, uh, I've done it before. I've said it to you once or twice before. Like, I want to stop. But I think when we adopted this thing, I was like, yeah, now I've got the answer.
I think that's the crux one. And this is kind of like where I was aiming for, because I had this conversation recently, is um I talked about a little bit of Josh, and I've kind of like been fleshing out in my head ever since, like trying to arrange my thoughts. Is this idea of like when you start in jiu-jitsu and you are all physicality and no technique, and when you see jiu-jitsu, it is about the fight. You are conditioned constantly to grade yourself on this idea of how well you are as a fighter in jiu-jitsu. Um, and we base ourselves on competition, we base ourselves on sparring, we base ourselves on like who we beat up to get our next belt. It's always been about who you beat up because of it being a sport. um and I think that is also, it's one of our greatest assets because it makes us push and it makes us strive to be better. But sport is also crushing. And um I think one thing that's probably helped us a lot, I mean, okay, we have an unfair physicality in there, so it's hard for us to maybe comment as much. Um, but I think the change of curiosity, I think, is what keeps us going. I think you just hit it a little bit there, in saying that since we've started seeing this system and seeing that it's almost infinite how far it will go,
Yeah.
has kind of moved us away from uh, not as much whether we win or lose in sparring, and like caring about our physicality in jiu-jitsu as much as we used to, especially at blue belt. I always based blue belt, purple belt, how fit I was directly correlated to how well I did,
Mm.
not um how much I was learning. Like if I lost in a competition or lost in a spar or anything like that, I think, I wasn't strong enough, I wasn't fit
Yeah.
enough, I had to go get fitter, I had to get stronger.
Mm.
Not in the slightest. Like
Exactly.
and we said this I think I said in the podcast with Josh, I've said to other places recently, is that majority of sport, they try and remove a lot of the variables, and it's a measure. Like in cycling, they have a limit on how light the bike can be. So then it's based on like pretty much everyone's on the same bike ish, and it's going to be based on instead a measure of the athlete.
Yeah.
When it comes to horse racing, the jockeys all weigh the same. Jockeys have to weigh in. And if they're
Oh, I
too
didn't know
light,
that.
yeah, I know. I was like, what? Yeah, jockeys have to weigh in, and they have to be an exact weight. If they are too
Wow.
heavy, if they're too heavy, they can't. And if they're too light, they have to wear weighted clothes to bring them up to the
Wow.
predetermined weight. So then it's no. So in other words, you're taking the variable of the
Yeah.
jockey out of it. So now it's a measure of the horse specifically. You just
Yes.
have someone piloting it.
Makes
Um,
sense.
I was like, that makes sense, especially when you see things like cycling does the same. You know, they
I
try and
I
take.
always thought that because usually the jockeys are usually lighter guys, aren't they? And
Yeah.
I always thought it's probably the lighter guy who will probably win. You know what I mean? Like he'll have an
No,
advantage
no,
because he'll be
no.
lighter on
They're
the
all the
horse.
same.
Wow.
I know. I was like, they have to weigh in literally as they get onto the horse. I was like,
Nice.
that's nuts. Um, so yeah, you have that, and then you have uh cycling, which is like I say, you know, they take out the variable of the bike, so it's a measure of the person. Um, Jiu-Jitsu has roughly the same in that we have weight categories and we have belts. So you're taking out a lot of the um, differentials or variables of experience and um, strength and size, and measuring their jiu-jitsu at that point against each other. And so it's always been about a measure of the jiu-jitsu because we're always trying to limit out those variables. Yet we don't see that when we're a blue belt or purple belt. We're always trying to think we're not strong enough, we're not this, we're not that.
Yeah.
Um, and then uh, that's it. So then a measure of your jiu-jitsu. And if you haven't got the right infrastructure to actually be curious about jiu-jitsu and learn it in a because instead of just rote repeating triangle setups, like De La Riva setups, armbar setups, it's like it gets really stagnant
Yeah.
really fast. And that's one thing I can say about, you know, since we started doing this, it's not been stagnant for a second.
100%. I agree with you. Like it's always we always you and you. I've said this I think last week or the week before when you used to on about the scale of progress, and since we've adopted this, it's just been like upwards. We haven't seen a decline yet.
No,
Um,
no, exactly.
so that's another thing where prior to this we always used to have days where we were like trying things and doing things and it was always progress and then it was just coming down and then we'd find something else, move on to something else. But when
Mm,
you do this, it's always something links onto something else. It's not just you walked in one day and you thought, what am I going to teach today? Okay, I'll teach this today in this way. How would I finish this setup and how would I blah 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 blah. But now
yeah,
it's personal. Now it's like, okay, this is the goal, that's what you're looking for, that's what you need to defend, these are the rules, let's go.
yeah. It gives such an interesting framework. I think that's maybe one that the because again I've seen blue belts leave. I've even seen maybe the odd purple belt leave if there's such a thing. Um, and I think it is that it's obviously flux in family and flux in general life, but the blue belts who leave out of despair, it is because we lack the framework. We lack the framework for actually how you're supposed to learn. Um, and we said it. I think it was actually when me and Josh were talking about it. It actually appeared on the BJJ Mental Models podcast at the same time, and we're like, oh damn, that was serendipitous. Um, is this idea of like maths, as in if you just complete, if you just continuously explain to people, 3 times 3 is 9, 4 times 4 is 16. I'd make sure I got a calculator out to make sure I actually got those correct.
Yeah, they were right. They were
Um,
right.
thank you, thank God. Imagine if I put that on video or like audio, and I was like, I
Cut
got
it
it
out.
wrong, dude. I ain't going hunting through this crap. I just let it happen. I was like, oh, Chris Payne's the dumb shit. He got the basic sums on his podcast. Uh, but like jiu-jitsu is normally taught where you're given the sum and the answer, but you're never told how
To
to back it
calculate
up.
it.
Yeah, what is a times? You just told 3 times 3 is 9. Okay,
How
and
do you
then you never,
multiply?
what does a multiply? And so
Yeah.
eventually you come across like I don't know a 10 times 10, and you've never seen a 10 times 10. And you're like, I don't know what this means. I never saw the answer. You're not
Yeah.
given
And
the
then
tools to go figure it out.
exactly. And then you got to go find first, how do you multiply? Okay. Why does 3 times 3 equal 9? And then you got to work it out yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or you just go try and find someone who's already figured out 10 times 10.
Yeah. and just do it the way they do it.
Yeah, they got this. The 10 times 10 is 100. I'll just do that then, and I think that makes it again weird, like because you don't have context and an explanation of like what the times is, and that can again make you lost in the whole thing because you don't know why you're learning what you're learning. You're just learning a mass of sums. And I think it's almost by accident. Usually, by about purple belt level, you kind of see enough of them to go, right, I'm starting to get a rough idea what times means now.
Yeah,
But it's a painful transition.
I agree. I agree.
I'm just
I
going
would
back.
say, sorry, go on.
Carry on.
I would say my transition from blue, because when we started, I was like a middle blue, to where I am
Yeah,
at brown, is much more, I would say, mentally easier than from
yeah,
white to blue, uh, because I'm not lost, if you know what I mean.
yeah,
So, I would say that's kind of helped.
yeah. I'm just trying to think back to like, obviously how I was, how you were, and at what point things changed, and like speaking to other people, and like hey, from other gyms and hearing their uh, their issues. I'm just like, right, I can see why this would be a problem because you don't know um how to solve the problem. It's like as soon as you understand how maths works, you can be super curious about it. And I think that's pretty much what we've been trying to set up is like instead of like repeating things. And this is kind of circles back around to this like concept versus technique idea. Is that I think helping people putting a more effort into teaching people that way around, like you would in school. Like this is how this works.
Yeah,
Get them curious about jiu-jitsu because then whenever they come across um, a new role, a new problem, they have the bits and pieces to solve it. And that's why um, there are that's why we as humans enjoy doing puzzles, and we don't predominantly cheat. We don't go looking for we don't go to the back of the book and go, oh, it was this answer all along.
yeah,
we,
it's a
we try and figure
challenge.
it out.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's the fun of figuring it out. Um, and I think as a coach, I think that is on us to take the time to do that and get it in as fast as you can, because going back to what I said earlier about the physicality problem. If all you see of jiu-jitsu is this relationship to it being um, how you do in roles is directly correlated to how much of jiu-jitsu you know, then you will leave. If your progression in jiu-jitsu is based on how much jiu-jitsu I know, despite how I do in roles, I think you'd stay because you'd realize that it's infinite.
yeah,
And like no matter what happened, you could just keep going and just looking into it. And obviously, you got to have the pressure testing that roles brings in, but it can't have so much weight as it normally does.
yeah.
If you know what I mean. Like you got to
I
have.
agree. I agree because you both people are pushing each other. If whoever you are rolling with,
Mm,
it's not just the case of it's going back to when you say that pause button. You're both conscious you're rolling, but you're conscious that you're learning at the same time, and
yeah,
that you can hit that pause button at any time, either one, and you can figure that place or position out.
yeah,
Um, and when you have the freedom to do that, and you understand why you're doing it, I think that will make you stay longer. It's that incentive again because it's the curiosity. Because you've got the ability to do that now, whereas before it would be like just roll, roll, roll. Or okay, why are we rolling? I want to get fitter. I want to get conditioning. All that stuff.
I remember, like like you said, how you used to come to me like when you were blue/purple, and you had that kind of despair. Like say if I gave you a rough night, you'd come to me and you were like, you know, broken about what had happened. Yeah, towards when we could train, and I was like, then catching you didn't really care. It was more that was a problem that you have needed a
Yeah,
bit longer to figure out, and now you get to go away and think, right, how do I, I've seen the problem, I've seen the sum, I know how to figure sums out. I just need to put a bit of mental elbow grease into just figuring the sum out, and then
exactly,
you'd
exactly.
come
And
back
then
around the next time, and it wouldn't work again. And that's what makes
yes,
it. That's then the depth of it, as in that's
it's
why you then
exactly, it's a win in your
keep
head,
interest.
it's your win in your head, and it's your personal development. Like you're like, okay, this works. If it works, I'm just going to carry on doing it.
Because you think, we're looking at this from the brown belt, black belt perspective. By now, you'd think we've learned all there is to know about jiu-jitsu. Like
Nah,
compared to
man.
like that's what exactly what I mean. If you're like a white belt or blue belt, listen to this. You look at these like brown belts, black belts, and think, well, they've done all of jiu-jitsu. They should know all by now, unless there's some
Nah.
like mad technique that comes out from like 10th Planet or DDS. They pretty much know it all.
Yeah,
Or
but no.
you know, or obviously their physicality is what keeps them going because they want to compete or something. But how do you, as a gym black belt who is relatively you know mostly chocolate now, how do you keep your interest going? And it's this realization that I know how to do sums now, and I want to go and just do puzzles all night.
Yes, that's the one.
Um,
It's interesting, it's just, especially when you're thinking about it all the time, and you're like, oh, yes, yes, I'm going to try this, I'm going to
yeah,
try that. Will
like
it work?
especially like when when I do something to you and I get you, and the next time I'd come in and you've solved my puzzle and it didn't work anymore, I'd be like, right, well, that's a new puzzle for me. How am I now going to undo the break of the puzzle you just done me in? So we're not drilling new techniques to try and figure this stuff out. That's what makes it fun.
Yeah,
Is that we're pretty much probably in the same position, the same kind of issue, but we're just changing the puzzle up. We can't drill that. There's not something we can then go away with, right, I need to drill this pass better.
yeah,
No.
exactly.
And that's I think hearing that, I think changing your mindset at that point of blue belt, purple belt, white belt, there's you can't do this too early. I think if you could bring this in on day one and see and disconnect um this mindset of it's based jiu-jitsu is just about fighting. It's not. It's puzzles. Arm yourself with how to solve the puzzle, not just examples of the puzzle being solved. Like, definitely look at it to make sure you're on the right track um with how you're supposed to solve puzzles. Like, see previously solved puzzles to understand how to
Yes.
solve puzzles. But that's what you shouldn't be doing all the time. Like, eventually you have to go off the walkthrough and play the game. Like, you have to actually um understand like the way the puzzle's been done. Okay, you're not going to do it to a high level. Like, everyone starts somewhere. That's why kids do 1+1.
Yes.
Um, 12-year-olds don't. um,
It's
exactly.
going back to that, when they say you crawl first, then you got to learn to walk, then you can learn to run. You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
You got to start with simple puzzles first, white belt puzzles, and then improve your puzzles. But again, you don't get better by just reading answers all the time. Like, because that's their very specific puzzle you know how to solve.
Yes. Yes. I
Um,
think I think I think that's probably the best like analogy I've heard now.
yeah, I'm keeping this. So when
Yeah.
we eventually get back in, we have this big influx of beginners. I This is what makes it so funny is that we haven't been able to run classes now in fucking ages.
I can't remember.
Dude, it's so sad. Yeah, my understanding of this whole thing and my ability to now explain it has improved because I've spent time on here doing it. Um, Spending longer thinking about it, and like how I now will treat beginners is entirely different. I
Yeah.
was already kind of on this path, but when we eventually come back in and we have them, I'm just like, right, this is all the effort I'm going to have. Like fuck anything else. Like, if you think that it's going to be a random class and guard or a Kimura or whatever on your first night, you are heavily mistaken.
Yeah.
Like, I'm teaching you this idea of now of everything you do from here on out is about how to solve puzzles. Everything I show you is an example of a puzzle. I will explain to you every single time why this is a part of the puzzle solving process, or how this is a part of the puzzle solving process. And I think we would have a lot less despair.
Yeah, I agree.
I think we'd have a lot less of that. You'd have the frustration of people like, I can't solve this puzzle, like any sum, like the sum's too hard.
Yeah.
But it's not that you don't know how to solve the sum. It's just you know how the sum works. It's just complicated. Um,
Exactly.
it's a
This is where the
difference.
technique. Sorry, go on.
No, carry on.
This is where the technique part then can come in, where okay, I've shown you how to do some. Now this is a way of completing the sum, but it's not the only way. It's just a way.
Yeah, I think it changes how you'd need a coach. As in, the questions you can't bring back is you only go to your coach when you've already got a sum and you need the sum solving because it's
Yes.
too complicated. Um, or like what part of the process are you missing that means you can't solve the sum? Not just give me more solved sums, coach. I'm like, that's half the time if I'm like, when I was teaching privates or like, it's very specific, singlet classes, I'd go on, I'd roll with the person first, and I'd be like, right, I'm going to give you puzzles, and if you don't know how to solve a certain part of the puzzle, I'm going to stop and not say, what would be the answer. I'd be asking the process. What are you looking for now? And
Yes.
I'd fix the process, and usually they then give me the answer. I'm like, there you go. That's actually much healthier way of learning this.
Yeah.
I think that could be such a jarring change, though, if you've come from a different way of learning
Oh yeah.
jiu-jitsu.
I mean, look at us. Like it was hard for us. We when we started, especially when we were learning the whole choke theory stuff, we used to get choked left, right, and center. We were like, oh no, today my throat, this, that. You go through the pain, but it pays
Dude,
off.
we lost people because of this.
Yes. Oh yes, we did. Yes, because they thought,
Like,
what are these guys doing? Some pussy shit. I'm like, what?
no, not that. It was that things got too hard too fast for them. Like, they took a
And
little
that.
bit of time off. People obviously upskilled really fast.
Yeah.
Their puzzle solving abilities, and then these people came back, after a couple of months, and all of a sudden it's like, what the hell? This is too difficult.
Yeah. What's
And
happened?
yeah, then they left, and I was like, huh, that's a problem. Um, Legitimately, like the fact that that even happened. But again, it kind of like circles back around to that first question I said, like, it's hard and it shouldn't be this way. And maybe I'll harden over time. Hey, um, it is that it hurt, like this whole idea of a tribe and a family, like everyone who ever comes in, even like, it's not a cynical business point of view that I'm learning your name because I want to like make money out of you kind of thing. Like, no, I genuinely care about everyone who ever walks in. And so everyone who leaves for whatever reason,
It hurts.
it hurts.
It
Yeah.
does hurt. It does hurt because as a coach, you think, where did I go wrong? Was it me?
Not
Was it
even,
my ability enough to get the message across?
I'd say 50% that, like 50%, like, what have I done to make you leave, if that was a factor. But the other part, like, you're a family member and you're leaving, it's a bit of grief.
Yeah.
Like, I'm losing a brother or something, or a sister. I'm like, this is actually gonna hurt because I'm losing someone who actually started to put an investment in,
Yeah.
not from a business perspective, an emotional investment into you. Like, I actually cared about your well-being. um and so yeah, I think even ignoring all business, money growing, gym size aspects of this, I just want to do this better because I want to limit the amount of people who go, because I'd rather they, apart from the things that are completely out of our control, like family, work, careers, education, I want to make sure there's no like all those kind of despair reasons, they're gone. That's not a reason you need to go. Like, we're fixing that. I care that you are here. I want you here because I like having you around.
But I'm gonna beat you up.
Yeah, but I'm going to kneel on your head. I hope you like heel hooks. I hate your knees.
It's so weird any fighting, man. Like you touch hands, and then for that 5, 6, 10 minute period or whatever, you just want to kill each other, and then as soon as the bell goes, you're best buddies again, and you're like, okay.
It's amazing how much you overlook as well. Like, I can't remember what I read. It was like something about like how we in certain situations, like intimate situations, like the part of our brain that deals with disgust gets turned off, and then like afterwards, like it turns back on again, and that's why we're ashamed of ourselves afterwards. Or maybe it's just me. And like that's how you can like dark shit happens, and you're like, let's brush it off, we'll carry on. Now looking from a jiu-jitsu perspective, it's amazing how many times like you just say like have some dude's nuts like on top of your head. You're like, it's cool, let's carry on. Like,
No, it's not cool.
Part...
Get them off my fucking head.
but it's amazing how in like any other part of your life, it's like,
yeah.
If a friend's nutsack like landed on your forehead, you'd be like,
get me the knife.
Like, yeah, I'm not this isn't good. I
Yeah.
guess it's context. Like, if it was at random, like, yeah, it'd be a problem. But again, it's that kind of, when like someone's sweat drips on your face, and you're like, no, let's carry on. Or like, yeah, all the other disgusting things that jiu-jitsu has. Like,
I think this is the part where we need to stop, because this is people will start running away now.
Thinking, what are they going on about now? I don't know how we even got onto that. Yeah, but yeah, the idea that this is such a deranged sport.
Yeah,
that,
it is, man. It's weird.
You can have someone's hair in your mouth. Like, if you have someone's hair in like anywhere near like the edge of your cup when you're drinking, it's like, God damn, I'm gonna chuck this whole cup away. But then there's jiu-jitsu, like mid-roll, it's like picking hairs out of your mouth. Like, oh, that's quite long and curly. Like it doesn't bother you. Yeah, any other time, like, how strange, isn't it?
I know, as dirty as that sounds, like it's the reality. It is. That's true. You won't. I don't think you'll find anyone on the mats who will just, act like that. You just pick it out the mouth, carry on.
I think at the beginning, you definitely like.
Yeah, it's new into it. Yeah.
Well, no, even from like because again, it's being a coach for so long. Like, I know it's hard for some people to have that kind of closeness to another person, like having body to body contact. And so again, I think that it is up to a coach to have that kind of respect of people's boundaries and letting them have their own time to get over them. But it's amazing how once people are over that kind of initial boundary, how much they'll then suffer. Like, aside from the pain part, like having someone trying to like break your leg in half, just like how much will they go through, like having someone's sweat. Like, imagine like, how many times you've been in like underneath mount and had someone's sweat drip onto your face.
Yeah, it's nasty, man.
That
but you get on with it.
I've had it land in my eye, like, and then carried on.
Exactly, you just carry on.
But anywhere else, like,
nah,
that'd be like a no. Like, so someone like flicked their hair and like a splash of their sweat went in my eyes. I think I'd like set my face on fire. Yeah, jiu-jitsu, no, screw it. Let's carry on. This role means more for some strange reason. Again, that kind of goes back into that kind of weird conditioning that the fight is all that matters.
Yeah.
It's amazing how much we get sucked into that exchange. And I think that is one of jiu-jitsu's greatest benefits and greatest detriments, is that it pushes us, yeah, absolutely, but also like we get so sucked into it, we think everything is about it. If we fail at it, then we failed at jiu-jitsu and we want to leave.
Yeah.
And it's when I know this because I've had you call me at 11 o'clock at night, someone's messaged me after a class and you've gone, Chris, I suck at this. I'm like, you don't, you really don't. Like, it was just one ankle lock. But now
One
I say,
ankle lock
it
after a
was
15-20 minute roll.
now it's not one ankle lock. Yeah, it was ankle locks all the time back then. But now it's changed. It's you know I know your mindset's changed. It's now just puzzle solving. And I think that's what then keeps this interesting from black belt and above. Is that how can you do this for 10 years, get a black belt, and then go, wow, there's still so much more for me to do. Right?
Mm.
But that's such a curious thing to say when you're a blue belt. Like I remember like being a blue or purple belt, and like I think it was Jiu-Jitsu versus the World or something came out, the documentary on YouTube. Definitely, anyone listening to this, definitely go check out Roll Jiu-Jitsu in SoCal and Jiu-Jitsu versus the World by Eat Films. Amazing documentaries on Jiu-Jitsu on YouTube, entirely free. But I think there's a quote by Cyborg, and it's like, the more I do Jiu-Jitsu, the more I realize how much more there is to learn. And there's like, I think I was a blue belt, maybe, or a purple when I first watched that. And like, how do you as a blue belt, purple belt, look at Cyborg and go, like, believe him when he says, "Oh,
Yeah.
there's so much more for me to learn." Like, no, there isn't. You've done it all, you maniac. Maybe you've got some sort of amnesia and you can't remember.
Yeah.
Like after each day, you forget all of jiu-jitsu, but there's no way. You're a black belt, you know it all. But now, like being there, I'm like, that mindset change of it's puzzles and that puzzles are infinite. Oh God, yeah, I could be here forever. You need to inflict that mindset change as early as you can on someone and get them
Yeah.
out of this fight mentality, get them into puzzle solving, despite physicality, and I think you'd have them.
Yeah.
Um, it makes me. That's the problem with talking to you on this, is that the more we do it, the more I just want to get people back in the gym and be like, play with all these new ideas. But instead, we're stuck here.
Yeah. Oh well.
It's so bad.
Do you think another reason? I mean, it's never. I don't. It's just an idea. I'm not sure. It might be wrong. Do you think some blue belts, or some people who leave at blue belt, would probably leave because getting a blue belt, you should be you should beat an average person, an untrained person. Do you think a reason could be that some people think that I only needed it for the street or to defend myself, and I don't need to know more? I mean, is that a reason why some people leave?
Think oddly, you should mention that. It's amazing how many people, again, I've got who got super upset when you have say you're a blue belt or a high white belt and a new person starts, and this is not something that I think we come across as much now as we did previously.
Yeah.
I remember actually talking to someone about this quite recently, and he'll know who it is because I know he listens to this. And we were talking about this idea of the stack in guard. In that, the first thing you do as a brand new beginner in jiu-jitsu is you stack people in guard. If close guard is the first thing you learn, it's like stack. And if you're a white belt or blue belt, all you've done, and depending on the gym, all you've dealt with is people posturing. You've learned 50%. Then all
Yeah.
of a sudden you have this maniac stacking into you and you don't know how to deal with it.
What do I do?
And then you get a bit of despair. And what makes it even funnier then, because you have a little bit of that you're higher up the rankings and that you feel that you are supposed to impose your knowledge on them, you then stop them and say, oh, no, you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to posture. Except what they were doing was just beating you. So it's kind of like you try and like make them worse by
Yeah.
by using your stature as a higher belt to like explain it and make them worse, so that you actually have an easier time. I think that's so funny, mostly because prior to knowing all this, I did it. Like, I'd have I'd be like I don't know, a blue belt or low purple, and all I've ever done is people posture, and then I'd have some big brute come in the gym and like stack me onto my head. And I'd be like, no, you're not supposed to do it, it's supposed to posture. And then they posture and I'd sweep them. I'd be like, but
I just cheated.
yeah, exactly. But you just cheated. And I think that's also a big part is this idea, like we said, that you only cover 50% of your options. Like you don't know, you have, there's so many instances where all you have is a shrimp, not a
Yeah.
roll away. All you have is a posture, not a stack. All you have is like back turns. All you have is a stack, not a posture up. Or there's numerous instances of that, and we'll have to like demonstrate them when we get back in the gym on video. And the majority of times, when people are new, they have actually the other option available to them. Like, it's amazing how many times, like, if you pass some sort of beginner's guard, they might roll away from you. Like, oh no, you're not supposed to do it. You're supposed to stack.
Yeah.
They're supposed to shrimp. Except they rolled away and it actually worked really well.
Exactly. And then they're taught not to roll away.
Yeah, and then they get caught in side control. I think, again, there's so many things about jiu-jitsu we need to fix. We have fixed that. They explain that there are, there are more ideas at play than what you think there is. This idea of a jab cross, as in, for every move that you think is only going one way, like a shrimp, there is something entirely the other way, which is like a roll away, and you need to know both and everything in between. Yeah, I don't know how we got into that part of the conversation, but that makes me laugh as well. And I think that breaks people's like basic blues, high whites, whatever. That breaks their understanding of how well they're doing with jiu-jitsu, because they think they're getting somewhere because maybe they're used to training with people who posture, and then they have some like person, overpowered white belt, come in, beginner, who just like stacks them, and they're just like, I haven't learned anything. It's pointless. They get sad.
Yeah, it does.
I think it's I learned so much by playing with beginners. I know maybe some black belts don't. I've been to enough gyms where the black belt won't roll with a white belt, like especially one from a different gym or something. But I'll roll with anyone who comes through the door.
I've been to gyms where I was a purple belt and a black belt refused to roll with me.
It's mad, isn't it?
It's mad, and I'm like, what?
I'll roll with people on their first night.
Exactly.
Like, if you
roll with
gym,
everyone.
It's like, yeah, your first day, like, oh, cool, let's roll. I want you to stack me. I want you to like jump backwards when I'm on your back. Like, good. I want to know that. I want to know that how I need to control your head so you don't knock my teeth out.
Exactly. Yeah. Curiosity.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's. I mean, you remember the days where, like we'd have people from different martial arts come in the gym, and I'd like say, "Cool, you do your thing, I'll do mine." Do you remember those days?
Yeah. Because we always jump in afterwards.
Dude, it was so funny. Like, if anyone listens to this, like, it's okay. Maybe it proves how much of an asshole I am. Like, say if someone came in from like a boxing background or taekwondo or karate or something like that, like I wouldn't make them, or Krav, brilliant. I wouldn't make them do jiu-jitsu. I'd give them gloves, and I'd say, "Cool, you do your thing, and I'm gonna put a gum guard in. I haven't got gloves. I'm not gonna hit you. Let's see what happens." And it's usually just a fake jab, hits Hoist Gracie style into a double leg, and then me sit on them and choke them. But that was always so much fun, especially boxers who stand upright. Like if they don't see that
front leg,
like,
mate. Whoop. Every day of the week, that front leg.
Amazing. But again, that was me just looking for different puzzles. Like, I want to solve this puzzle now. This is even outside of jiu-jitsu. This is boxing. How do I use jiu-jitsu against boxing? This is new puzzle territory. I think it definitely makes you more
open-minded
to what, like, where this jiu-jitsu kind of like blast radius is. It isn't just in its tiny grappling shell.
Yeah, it's massive.
Wider. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, that's what
You
I think
can't
it
get
makes it.
boxed into one style, because if you get boxed into one style, again, it's that you're not learning the other 75% or the 80% or whatever it is.
Or just like dealing with different body types and
Yeah.
personalities. Like again, like when we roll, I know you're someone who I can't easily leg lock. So it's no point me playing inside based guards on you. I go for them, but I predominantly always go outside based. You know this. Like, how many times have you been like stressing over me because I'm like going for closed guard again, which is so stupid because you're a really good leg locker, and I know that you could snap my legs in half like dry twigs. Um, yeah, this is the puzzle. Like anyone else, cool. I'm gonna definitely play this like butterfly and half guard, and I'm gonna leg lock them all day long. I can't do it, so I have to play outside based stuff. But at the same time, by doing that, I'm accepting the fact that I'm more likely to get leg locked. Like there's an automatic puzzle change, and
Yeah.
it makes it so interesting because now it's like I know how to solve this puzzle. I know how part of this puzzle this is. This is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Um, and that's why I think this is infinite, and that's why you know, physicality and body be damned. I think I could be here forever because I'm just puzzle solving all the time. But I think if I hadn't have changed that mindset around blue, purple belt, brown belt level, I wouldn't be here. And I wanted to quit maybe every 3 months back then.
Mm.
I'd be in like the shower, just like just fuck this, fuck this, fuck this sport, fuck all of you. Uh, like I can't be dicked with this anymore. I'm off. Um, I haven't had that in a long time.
Yeah, same. I can't remember the last time, but I remember when it was in like when it did happen. It was like at that early blue back period. I was like, oh, forget this.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, talk about all those like life changes. I went through career changes, relationship changes, child changes in that kind of like 20 to 30 period. And I always came back to jiu-jitsu. Like I never left it. Yet the reasons for me wanting to leave, were frustration,
Yes.
dismay.
Yes.
Um, I wish someone had changed my mindset onto this earlier. Because now, like, ignoring the belts, like if you take out the belt part of this, like white, blue, purple, brown, black, like and just look at us as human beings who grapple. We're just people who hit this mindset. Like we've now changed into people who will be here forever because we're thinking like this. Um, belts be damned.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't that I got a black belt and all of a sudden I was like, oh, I think like this now. Like I had
No.
a zen moment, and I think I'm going to be here forever. Like no, like, I just hit this at a certain point. I just happened to be hit this certain frame of mind, which allows me to stick around long enough to get a black belt.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Um, yeah, I think that was an interesting thing to talk about. I think that's
I think we're going to be referred to as shrinks because all we've done is talk about mental stuff.
what else can we do? Like I think that's one of the fun things about these episodes and these podcasts that we've been doing this second lockdown is that we can't obviously demonstrate jiu-jitsu, but obviously there's a large part of it that needs to be talked about.
Yeah.
Like how we actually learn. Are we learning the best way? Because it could be just so easy to go in the gym and just do demonstrations of techniques. The simple fact that we've managed to put the best part of almost like 20 hours of content online or whatever the
Mm.
hell it is, um, talking about this, and not even like talking about like famous people in the celebrity part of all this, like
Yeah.
Craig Jones and Gabby Garcia. Like, what do you think? We didn't even approach that, and there's still so much to talk about.
Yeah.
Um, I hope anyone to listen to this hasn't like trailed off and fallen asleep in this like last quarter. Um, I'm super aware. Like, anyone who can see me on the video, I keep like gazing down at my wrist just to make sure that we don't stretch these podcasts out into like unbearable lengths.
Yeah.
I'd say usually it's the length of a long commute. That's
Yeah,
what
about
I've been
hour,
listening to this.
bit over an hour.
Yeah, exactly. Um, anyone listening to this, please find a way of contacting us, either through the Discord channel. You can just type Chris Payne's BJJ into Google, Instagram, Facebook. You'll find me. Or Naqi. You'll find Naqi easily as well, connected to me. Send us a message. I want to hear your ideas on this. Like, as odd as it sounds, like audience participation. Like, I can't imagine Joe Rogan doing this because I think he'd never get out of reading things. Anyone listen to this, like of the numerous people that actually are now listening to these things, please message and just give me your thoughts on these things. Like, I'm genuinely curious. Like, I don't care if you've been doing jiu-jitsu for 2 months, like before lockdown, and you've just been sitting in your gi waiting for the return ever since. Like, couldn't care less. I'm curious about your thoughts on this or whatever else. Please message, please. I want your thoughts on this. You know, what frustrates you with jiu-jitsu? What do you look at and think, I wish this was different, or why do I suck? Yeah, please get back to us, and I look forward to hearing from you. Or just give me feedback on this and say this sucks as well. This is always good. I like knowing my podcast sucks. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. Thank you for downloading this with whatever method you have, either YouTube, Spotify, Google, Apple. Seems to be Spotify's the highest. Maybe should do some sort of promotion or something. Thank you for your time, Naqi. It's always a pleasure. Mate. Stay sane. Stay healthy.
You too.
Keep fit.
I'll try.
And who knows? Maybe, like, the more we do this, 1 week it's going to be like we're gonna be talking like this. I'm like, dude, it sucks. And then 1 week it's just going to happen, and we can roll. And the next week we're going to come in, and it's going to be like post quarter. It's going to be both like lying there, like in our chairs, like, dude, it was so good. Oh, it's so good. Oh, I've missed this. Until that episode, where we get a higher rating, parental rating on us. Coming with like noses all smashed in and like eyes are blackened. Till then, yeah, stay safe, dude, and I'll catch you on the next week on Reap the Week. Thank you, everyone else.
See you soon.
Take care, dude.
And you, mate.